Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Asia. I am your host, Asia Nasir Shahid, and I am here with some beautiful young ladies and beautiful Muslimas, and we're going to have a great conversation tonight on the topic of World Hijab Day and why is my hijab important to me. And so I would like to introduce our youth committee members who are actually my guests today on the show. And this is the first we've ever done this. So this is an introduction to the youth committee members who are new in 2021, our very first youth committee group. And so I'm going to introduce them one by one. And so the first guest that we have that's in our youth committee group is Ivy Lewis. Hi, Ivy.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How about you?
Good, good. And now we have Neve Towns. Hi, Neve.
Hi,
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Good.
And next we have Asma. Asma, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. And last but definitely not least, we have Hanan.
Hi.
Hey, Hanan. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So I'm really excited about having this conversation on World Hijab Day. February 1st has a significance in so many different things. Obviously, it's a new month, it's Black History Month, and it also happens to be significant in the Muslim world because it is World Hijab Day. So it's a big day for women like myself, who, while I'm the founder of J.E.S.S.I.C.A Cares, I'm also a Muslima. And so we have two committee members who are Muslim, and then we have two committee members that are not Muslim. And that is because J.E.S.S.I.C.A Cares services both Muslim and non-Muslim girls and women around the world. So our last committee meeting, we had, we were coming up with the dates and, events that we're going to do for 2021, God willing. And Ivy, asked something. So Ivy, can you just share with the viewers, what was the question that you asked that came about that we decided to have this conversation on World Hijab Day?
I definitely wanted to know about. Well, one thing that came to my mind while I was bringing up the idea was fasting, because I remember you talked about fasting before, and I was like, "What is that?" And I wonder how they do it. And so I had thought of that, and I was like, "Well, why don't I present this idea to them, and maybe I'll get it answered."
Yeah. And Ivy is obviously not Muslim. So, and she was like, I have questions about Islam. I have questions that I want to ask. And I was like, you know what? Maybe there are viewers here that may have questions also about Islam. And this would be a great platform for us to be able to have that discussion, to answer the question for those that are Muslim, why is their hijab important to them? So I'm going to ask Asma and Hanan, who are both Muslim. Were you born and raised Muslim, or did you convert later on as you got older? So we'll start with Asma. Okay, go ahead, Hanan.
I was born and raised Muslim.
Okay, and what about you, Hanan? We're not able to hear you. There you go.
I was born Muslim.
So I'm going to ask you, Asma, since you have the mic right now, what does your hijab mean to you, and why is it important to you?
Well, to me, hijab is a sign of modesty. To me, not just physically, but also with your character. You can show your hijab through your character and physically. And I feel that wearing the hijab means nothing if you don't show that you're Muslim through your character. And I feel like it is a crown. It is something to be proud of and to honor the fact that Allah or God has given women the right to represent Islam through their clothing. And I think it's something that should be honored and esteemed, and we should definitely try to uphold this to the greatest esteem. And we need to represent Islam in the best way through our character, and not just like wearing the piece of cloth. The piece of cloth is part of it, but it's more through how we show through our actions, representing Islam. So overall, hijab means to me representing Islam in the best way possible.
And so why is it important to you in particular?
Yeah.
Like when you put on your hijab, why is that important to you?
Because it shows that it represents me and my religion, and it shows modesty. It's what did you say? Yeah, it represents me and like who I am, and like it's something that I'm proud of.
Good. So Hanan, what about you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So Hanan, being that you are also born and raised Muslim, what does hijab mean to you? And then the second part of the question is why is your hijab important to you? So what does the hijab mean to you, and why is it important to you?
So for me, my hijab represents modesty and purity. So like when I'm wearing it, I feel closer to Allah, and I feel like it acts as a shield to the world that's around me, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important to me because growing up, I didn't grow up around Muslims. So like, and when I finally started wearing my hijab, I felt like empowered, and it was nice for me to look like my mom, like kind of take after my mom and start wearing my hijab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, if I was a little different, I wasn't born and raised Muslim. I actually took my Shahada, which is my declaration of, basically saying I am a Muslim and I'm going to start living my life as one. I took my Shahada 6 years ago, and I was very into not covering. It's not something that I'm proud of today, but it's just the honest truth. And wearing my hijab, I posted it up today. It meant a lot to me because when I look at, when we walk outside of our doors, like Allah, God could have used any of his creation, man, animals, signs, anything to represent this religion. And yet he chose the Muslim woman to wear this religion. So anytime we walk out our door and we have this on, no one ever questions what faith do we belong to or what faith do we, subscribe to. So it to me, it's an honor and a privilege because I get to represent an entire faith. And in the religion of Islam, that's close to 2 billion. And so that's a huge responsibility. And for me, it's an honor that we were chosen as Muslims to represent, because Muslim men can walk out and no one knows that they're Muslim. I mean, they may think they are because they may have a beard or something like that, but it's not sure. But anytime we walk out our doors wearing a hijab, there's no question as to what faith we belong to, and no one even has to ask. And for me, it was important because it was a protection, as well as it held me to a higher standard of conduct. Obviously, wearing hijab, I have to conduct myself in a certain way if I'm going to represent Islam in the most positive way. And that's not just when I'm outside. It holds me even when I'm inside. And that doesn't mean that I don't fail at times, but because of Islam, it makes me want to work harder to be a better, person in my conduct and everything like that. And I noticed that when I wear my hijab, men just kind of deal with me differently in the street. When they see me, they're very cautious to not use bad words, or they'll, open up the door, be like, oh, let the Muslim in. The way they are, they just kind of act different. And I think that's a protection because they just respect the fact that that image of modesty is associated with, a Muslim woman being covered. So that's why hijab is important to me, because I feel like I was chosen, which I feel is an honor. And so I take that honor seriously. So I want to go to our non-Muslim youth committee, Neve and Ivy. And I want to ask you, what was your first? So we're going to start with Ivy and then Neve. What was the first time? When was the first time you encountered a Muslim or the religion of Islam, and what was your experience?
For me, the first Muslim I really encountered was you, Sister Asia. I mean, I've seen some, but I haven't really, talked to them like I talked to you. And the first time I met you was at one of your meets, and I felt very loved, and the way you like speak and the way you care for people really made me feel very protected and loved. And when I went to one of your meets, I usually am really shy around people and I don't really feel like I fit in because everybody knows each other and I'm just the new one there. But when I went to one of your meets, I felt very, very like I has always been there before, and like I've been there to every one of your meets, and I've been here since I was a baby or something. I felt very, very fit in, and you guys made me feel like I was loved so much, and I'm very happy about that.
Oh, that's beautiful. So it was at our last retreat
Yes.
that wow. And I remember when your mom, you was both, I think you and your mom was a little shy. You kind of walked in like, I think this is the Just Cares retreat. And wow. And that's just beautiful. I'm glad that it was a positive experience and that it wasn't just me that made you feel welcome, but that everybody there, which I think the majority of people that were there were Muslims. So that's beautiful. Wonderful. Neve, what about you? What was your first encounter, with Islam and or a Muslim, and what was that experience like?
I think maybe my first encounter would be in fifth grade. No, not, yes, fifth grade. One of my best friends was Muslim, and she was always so
Oh,
nice to me, and there was like no difference between us. So I think that was my first encounter. But I would also see like people walking around, like around my complex. So maybe that would be my first encounter. But yeah, I think fifth grade.
and wow, that's good. And then she was your best friend. That's
Hmm.
beautiful. That's
I still
beautiful.
kind of have like contact with her over like text message and stuff, but
That's great. So I'm glad it was both a positive
mhm.
experience for both you and Ivy. So Ivy, you're the reason, kind of like why we're having this discussion live on Facebook and YouTube and everything else. You said you had questions. That you had questions, girls. If you could put your cameras on because we're actually live, so we want everybody to see you. In case and for the audience that's looking in, if you have questions for any of our youth committee members, please, or us, please feel free because now we're actually going to open it up for some Q&A. And so the first person I want to ask, Ivy, was, well, actually, I'll open it up for you to ask. You had mentioned at our youth committee meeting that you had questions about Islam. So, and I said, ask any question, that you want. So, what questions, and that's for you too, Neve, any questions that you have for Asma or Hanan, especially with you being the same age group.
Okay. So, one thing I wanted to know is, um, I don't think you guys celebrate the holidays that I would, and I just want to know, like, is there any holidays that you guys do celebrate, and like why? Or is there just certain holidays you celebrate as a Muslim?
Okay, so anyone want to answer that question, Asma and Hanan?
I can answer the question. So we do have two holidays that we celebrate each year. They're both called Eid, and basically at the end of the month of Ramadan, we that's the month that we fast every year, and at the day after the last day is Eid, which is like one of the main holidays that we celebrate of the two. And then the other holiday that we celebrate is also Eid, but it's different. But we also fast the day before that. And yeah, so we have two holidays each year, and we don't celebrate Christmas, Halloween, and Easter or any other holidays other than Eid.
Right. And so you asked the question, Ivy, what was fasting like for us? So Hanan, do you want to answer that question for her? Like because our fasting is a little different than what most people are used to doing as it relates to fasting. So do you want to explain to Ivy why, fasting, why we fast during the month of Ramadan? Just explain to her, just our fasting process. And Asma, can you answer the question of why we fast during the month of Ramadan? So Hanan, can you tell her how we fast?
Um, so basically, we have a meal before our morning prayer. So it's called suhoor, and we'll eat food and like drink as much water as we need before that. And then after our morning prayer, that's the time that we are not allowed to eat anymore. And then we fast throughout the day and pray. And so basically fasting is like a refrain from eating or drinking.
And then when do we break our fast?
So we break our fast after our third fourth prayer. Um in It's called Maghrib. So then we eat after that, and we'll have like what we call it to break our fast is most people eat dates and drink water or milk.
Mhm. And so, Asma, can you tell Neve and Ivy what's the significance of Ramadan? Because it's an entire month that we do this straight. It's not like it's choppy. We fast once a week. It's literally for 30 days. So, what's the significance,
Yeah.
Asma, of Ramadan?
Well, in Islam, we have 5 pillars of Islam that we have to fulfill as Muslims, which includes prayer and charity and migration. But fasting is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. So we have to fulfill that as Muslims. It's part of our obligation. So fasting is something that we do. And I feel like it's a common misconception that people think that fasting is hard on us and it's something that we dread. Really, for the first couple of days, yes, it's a little, you do become hungry, but after that, your stomach starts to get smaller and you don't crave food as much, like during the
Mhm.
day. And also, fasting isn't just about not eating, it's about prayer and family and love. And fasting is one of the most lovely times of the year because it's where family gets together and spends time together and reads the Quran, which is the book of Allah, which is the book of God, the book of the Muslims, and just pray. And it's just overall a very unifying time of the year for Muslims. And it's just something that I love. And it's something that you don't get with a lot of things, community and unity. Like there's community all year with Muslims, but in Ramadan especially, there's like a big community, which I love. And
Right.
yeah, so it's one of the 5 pillars that we have to do in Islam. So that's part of the reason why we have to do it.
And the beautiful, you said something about the Quran, which is the book of Allah, our instructions of how we should live our life. Is there a connection with Ramadan and the Quran?
Yes, so there are 30 days in the month of Ramadan, and there are 30 chapters or juz in the Quran. And so, if you want to read the entire Quran, I think it's so beautiful that it's split perfectly. And so that we can read each chapter of the Quran in the holy month of Ramadan. So you can read the Quran every single year so that you can remind yourself of the rules and obligations and stories of the Quran. And it's so beautiful how it's perfectly split up so that you can do it every single year, and it's really beautiful. It's a really wonderful thing.
Yeah. And I know for me, Ivy, since you asked the question, about fasting, fasting is not, it doesn't have spiritual, it first and foremost, it has spiritual benefits because when you're fasting during the month of Ramadan, it's as Asma mentioned, it's not just giving off food and drink, not just leaving off food, but it's also a time for us to reflect on what bad habits, what are things that we may be doing that's not pleasing to God, that we want to leave off to. Is it gossiping? Is it, are, using bad language? Is it treating people, unkindly? Whatever it is that you might be doing that is not pleasing to God, it's a time for you to reflect and be like, let's do away with that. And it's funny how it works. But they say that if you do something for 30 days or you stop doing something for 30 days, it becomes a new habit. So during the month of Ramadan, if you stop doing something or you do more of positive things, and that's what we're encouraged to do, is when you remove something bad, replace it with something good. And so during the month of Ramadan, it's reading the Quran, doing positive things, spending time with your family, giving charity. Those are things that draw you closer to God. So if you're doing that 30 days in a row, it's not just to pause a bad habit, but it's to stop a bad habit. And then it's to create new good habits. So Ramadan is a really beautiful month. And every Muslim people are like, oh my God, you're going to fast. Like, you would think we would dread that month. And actually, you ask any Muslim, when Ramadan comes, it's like we can't wait for it. And then when it ends, we're like kind of sad that Ramadan is gone, because there's just this feeling that we only get during Ramadan. And so that's why we do a lot of reading of the Quran. There's just really reflecting on the instruction of God. So that's what Ramadan means to us, and the fasting. So when you ask that, and it doesn't mean that as Muslims we can't fast other times during the year, but you can fast other times of the year, especially if you feel like maybe your faith is dwindling, or if you feel like you need to be heavy in prayer about something. It is good to fast. And it's actually, if you look at health, even medical people in the medical profession say that fasting is actually good for the body, because it detoxes just toxins that are in your body. It rids you of those things. So it has a physical benefit too. So, Neve, you have any questions about Islam, or anything that you've ever wondered, or anything that you heard about Islam that you were like, I've always wanted to ask about that, but didn't have someone to ask?
I think one question that I have is, are there like any restrictions with things that maybe Christians do but you can't do, or Catholics do that you can't do? Are there
Okay.
like any restrictions or anything like that?
Okay, good question. Asma or Hanan, y'all want to answer that question? So, and then just raise your hand so that way I can see who's going first. Okay, Hanan?
Wait, sorry. Okay, sorry. So, like we said before, like we don't have the holidays, so most of the same holidays that you guys have, or any of them actually. But another thing that Muslims don't do is we don't eat pork. We don't like have boyfriends and girlfriends and all that stuff. And there's like yeah. That's all I can have.
Yeah, and that's true. Those are some of the things that, as Hanan mentioned, that we refrain from. And I know you might be asking, no boyfriend and girlfriend. Did that stick out to you? You can tell the truth.
A little bit, but like
Yeah.
not extra. It wasn't like anything extra that stuck out.
Well, here's the reason why, or Asma, do you want to explain the reason why we're encouraged not to have boyfriend and girlfriend? And then you might ask, well, then how do you get married? So, Asma, do you want to explain why we don't have boyfriend and, engage in having a boyfriend or girlfriend relationship?
Yeah, because in Islam values like women and men's women in Islam we value our we value how we treat our bodies and how we intermingle with men and women aren't supposed to intermingle till marriage. And how marriage works is that basically the man has to go to the woman's father who they're interested in marrying once they're of age to marry, and they go to their father and they ask they get and then with parents around and people around, they get to know them. Of course, like without touching, like men and women also can't touch until marriage. And I know that's probably like something that's crazy to you, but like it's really honestly something that you can like just like address when you first meet a person. Like for example, if a guy walks up to me and like wants to shake my hand, obviously I can't shake his hand because I'm Muslim, but I just say like air fist bump or something like that. And it's just like it's just something that's mutually understood. So it's not that hard to maintain. So but yes, so wait, you asked me to explain marriage, or what was the other thing you asked?
No, that was what I asked you. Yeah, that was why. And then, going and just kind of
Okay.
piggybacking what
Okay.
Esma was saying is that you know, when when you're at your age, Neve and Ivy and Esma and Hanan, and even at my age, we have hormones. We have hormones. And when you're attracted to somebody, they're just a natural way that God created us to want to express how we feel for one another. And when you read even in the Bible, or when you read even in the Quran or the Torah, there's an instruction in both of those divine books that says, don't commit fornication, and being modest. So when you're modest with your body, and you're not to commit fornication, in Islam, we're taught, don't even put yourself in a position where that could even possibly happen. So obviously, nowadays, boyfriend and girlfriends, they do engage in premarital sex. And so for Muslims, we really try to stay away from something that could lead us to something that would be so displeasing to God, because he's made it so clear that that's not something that he wants us to do, and that that's something special and reserved for when you get married. So, the goal is to remain chaste until you find a husband that, until you find someone that you feel, and we do have choice. I know some people think that in Islam, women don't have a choice, that we have arranged marriages. That's more of a cultural thing. That's not a religious thing. Women in Islam are not forced to marry somebody. They have a choice. So even if a man comes to a young girl's father and say they're interested, if she's not interested in Neve, she's not obligated to talk to him in that manner. So they don't, but if she is, then under supervision, they get to know one another. So that way, that kind of stuff doesn't happen. And then that special act of showing and expressing love for one another is reserved for when they're husband and wife. So that's how that works. Esma, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I think it's also a way of honoring women, because I saw this lecture that the a man was talking about marriage in Islam, and he was saying that he knows from personal experience that, because he was a man obviously, and he knows from personal experience that if a man knows that he can get you without marrying you, he will not want you. So like marriage is something that you have to commit to. So it's a way of honoring women, and like I feel it's a way that God said that women are to be treated as if they're not to be treated as an option. If you want them, you have to marry them and be obligated to them, obligate your time, your money. And there are actually specific rights that a woman gets to her husband in Islam that's mentioned in the Quran, and they're obligated to their money and their time, and it's specifically laid out in the Quran. So like it's really an honor for women, like
Right.
marriage. The
Yeah.
marriage is really an honor for women.
And I mean, even for non-Muslims, when a woman gets married, how does she feel? She's like, I'm a wife now. I got the title wife. It's something to be honored. It's something to feel proud of. And so Islam, we feel the same way. And so there are conditions for a man to, be with a woman, and conditions for a woman to be with a man, and that is marriage. So, and that's to keep it sacred and something beautiful that the two can share, with each other once they become husband and wife. So. Okay, any other questions? These questions are good.
Well, I actually have one question for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you said you weren't born and raised Muslim.
Hmm.
So how did you become interested in being Muslim, or how did it start?
Wow, my hijab story, my Muslim story. Okay, my shahada story, as you say, as we say. Good question. Um, I was first introduced to Islam, I think it was like the third grade. That was when it first started for me. I was like in the third or fourth grade. And I was raised actually as a Jehovah's Witness. That was, my parents were very devout Jehovah's Witnesses. My father has since passed. And he, in the Jehovah's Witness faith, would be what you would consider like an imam or a pastor. Like he spoke and he went around speaking. So he was very into the faith. And my mom is still alive, and she's a devout Jehovah's Witness still, going, preaching and trying to teach people about the Jehovah's Witness faith. So it was very part of my everyday life. Um, and I remember I was in the third or fourth grade, and I think it was the third grade, and there was a young girl that came in, and she had a hijab on, and she was covered from head to toe, and I had never seen anything like it before, and she was in all white, and I was like, it just, I don't know what, it just stopped me like in my tracks. I just was like, what? Oh, what is that? And back then it was in the 80s, and it was not something that was very popular. Seeing a young girl covered, seeing a Muslim even, it was not something that was common. And I was kind of raised in the projects. And so it was not something that we saw at all. And I remember she was teased a lot for wearing hijab. Boys used to try to take her hijab off. And I remember sometimes she would cry. But I just remember just something about that hijab, it just stuck with me. And I couldn't explain what it was. And it was something that I didn't feel I could tell my parents because they were so into their religion. But ever since that day, I I would watch anything that came on TV that had to do with Muslims. I would watch it. And it was something about when I would hear the sounds of, like Saudi Arabia and that sound, it caught my eye. And then I remember the Malcolm X movie came out with Denzel Washington. And I went to that movie, and I actually bought the movie afterwards, which that movie is like about a 3.5 hour movie. And I specifically bought that movie because of two scenes out of that entire movie. And that was when they were calling the adhan, and the adhan is the call to prayer. And when Denzel Washington was reciting something that we pray 5 times a day, and that is the Al-Fatiha. And I remember every time I heard it, it just did something to me, and I couldn't explain what it was. Fast forward, my kids, I had children, and, they would see me watch things that had stuff to do with Muslims, and it just was this fascination with Islam. But I heard, just like everyone else, I saw the stereotypes about Islam. And so there was a fear behind Islam as well. And so I never really told anybody that I had an interest in Islam. Fast forward till I was about 40 years old. I had just got out of a very, very bad toxic relationship with someone. And I wanted to change my life. I had put on a lot of weight, and I just wasn't happy health wise. I wasn't happy. I wasn't in good health. And so I was like, I'm going to get a personal trainer, and I'm going to get myself back on track. And sure enough, I did that. And it just so happened to be that my personal trainer was Muslim. And so I started asking questions. And obviously, me not being Muslim and not knowing, me and this person developed a relationship that would be very normal in the non Muslim world. And that was boyfriend and girlfriend. And so, what I mean by that is, and I want to be clear, some people, although they know, just like in any other religion, they know what's right and wrong, or what they should and shouldn't be doing in Islam. Sometimes they're going through a bad part in their life, and they may not be practicing Islam the way they should. But it was he continued to teach me things, and I would ask a lot of questions. And he took me to the masjid for the first time. That was the first time I saw people praying. That was the first time I went to uh, you know anything that had to do with Islam. And I fasted 2 years in a row. I fasted 2 years in a row, even though I wasn't Muslim. But it was everything about Islam that made me just want to know more. And then that second year that I fasted, I was like, okay, you know what? I'm a person that I'm either all in or I'm all out. So that year I said, what am I doing? Am I going to be a Muslim, or I'm not going to be a Muslim? And I decided that I was going to learn first. I didn't want to make a decision without knowing what I was getting into. So I went to a sisters group that met every Saturday in Long Island. And I lived in Jersey at the time. So I would drive every Saturday because I was off on Saturdays. I would drive every morning for 4 months. I drove and did the same thing that you did. Ivy, I just started asking a bunch of questions. And I had a teacher, and may Allah bless her. She just passed away day before yesterday. And she was my first teacher. And she was my first teacher. And she answered all of my questions about Islam. And her passion for Islam was just, you know. And so she taught every Saturday. And I went to her class, and she would encourage me every Saturday to, you should take your Shahada. You should take your Shahada. Do you believe in the Quran? Do you believe that there's only one God? And do you believe that his last messenger and prophet was Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or peace and blessings be unto him? And I believe that. And so she was like, you should take your Shahada. And on December 13th, 2014, I did just that. I took my Shahada, and I've never looked back. And so that relationship that I had with that person, although it was my entry to Islam on a deeper level, I discontinued that relationship because, as we just shared with Neve, you can't have boyfriends in Islam. And so I changed my life, and it's the best decision that I've ever made. And it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. And so that's my Shahada story, Ivy.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah. And my teacher's name is
I just wanna
Hamida. Hamida Khan was her name. So may Allah grant her a spacious grave and allow her the highest level of Jannah. Any other questions? Y'all gonna have to talk about something else because y'all gonna have me crying on here. that relationship with your teacher.
I just want to point out that I know this story like the back of my hand.
Alhamdulillah.
Wait,
Yeah.
I
So
think my
say that again, Esma.
No, I just said I think my audio.
Oh, okay. So, any other question or anything that you want to? So, let me ask you. I want to ask you, Ivy and Nevaeh, a question. Were there any stereotypes that you've heard about Islam that made you like, whoa, kind of took you by surprise? Or things that you've seen on TV?
Yes. There's a rumor. Well, I'm not sure if it's going around right now, but there's like a really terrible rumor that all like Muslims are bad people, and like, I heard like there's these Christians that say it too, and they're like because they don't follow God or something like that, like they're bad people, and then like they're terrorists and stuff like that, and that just made me like upset because it's like you haven't even like they probably never even met a Muslim and they're just saying this stuff. And it's like you guys are lovely people, and to see them saying this really makes my heart break because like it's like I think back to you guys and I think how much you guys made me feel so good as a person, and to see them saying this stuff, it really just hurts.
Yeah, it hurts us too, right, guys? How does it make you feel, Asma and Hanan, when they say things that is not true, like they call us terrorists and they say that we as women are oppressed and we don't have a voice, and that we hate people and that we don't believe in God and that we don't like people who are not Muslim and all of those stereotypes that they say about us? How does that make you feel, Hanan and Asma?
So honestly, I feel like upset, especially when I was younger. Like when I would see those type of things going around, like it would make me feel like why do you have to hate us? Like what did we do to
Mm-hmm.
you? So
Right.
like for Muslims and people, like there's like people would say that, oh, Muslims caused 9/11, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. That just makes me upset because like why would you ever just like assume that out of nowhere?
Yeah. Yeah. What about you, Hanan? I mean, Asma.
Honestly, I think it's just really sad to me that like I feel that they can't understand Islam because Islam literally means peace. And I feel like they say like when they make fun of us and they say like Allahu Akbar literally means glory to God. I mean God is great. So they don't understand it's sad to me how they don't understand like the meanings of Islam. Like Islam's core is peace, and peace is the opposite of terrorism. And I don't think it's sad that they can't understand how we function and how and like Ivy said, they probably never met a Muslim or been in a masjid or see how we pray or see how we function as a community. And they just stereotype us from what they see. Like, and I just want to point out that terrorism is like not part of Islam. It has nothing to do with Islam. They just hide behind what Islam just to support what they're doing. Just like what happened. I don't know if you guys are familiar with what happened at the Capitol building, but they say that they say that they believe in the
Yeah.
Bible and that they're behind what the Bible says. And like the people who invaded the Capitol building, like that what they're doing has nothing to do with Christianity. They're just saying that so that they can have something
Right.
behind them, so that they can so that they can show that what they're doing is right.
Absolutely. And that's a great point that you made, Esma. You know, we look at white supremacy and you look at the Ku Klux Klan and you look at different, things like that. And they'll say things like, they'll say things like, this is what Christians believe. Even look, we could go back as far as slavery, and they justified slavery through, the Christian faith. And anyone who knows anything about the Christian faith, if you actually read the Bible, it does not condone slavery, in the way that they were, oppressing the people. They do not believe in, mistreating people unfairly because of the color of their skin. That's just not true. So it's the same in Islam. People feel like, you know, they want to justify their hatred towards us and use the Bible as a guide. But anyone who knows what the Bible actually says, it does not condone that. And it doesn't condone terrorism and killing people. And Islam is the same way. It doesn't condone that faith. And we believe that the Torah that was given during the Ten Commandments, during the time of Moses. We believe that the time of Isa, Jesus, when the gospel was delivered, and during the time of Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, when the Quran was revealed, all three books they coincide with one another, they complement one another, and they have the same ideology as far as one God, how we treat people, and that our faith should be displayed in our conduct, and that is to be loving and to treat people fairly. And so, yeah, all of and that's exactly what it is, Ivy. It is just that, just stereotypes, and it's not true at all. So, great question. And then that's like you said, your first encounter, and Neve, your best friend. You see your encounter when you actually got to know, a Muslim. It was completely opposite of what you see on TV, and that is because those that really live by the tenets of Islam, the five pillars of Islam, all of the things that we're taught that is good, and staying away from what's bad, it comes out in our conduct and how we treat people. So, and I'm so happy that you two have had positive interactions with Muslims, because that shows that those that you have come in contact with really take Islam seriously and display that in their everyday life. And that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Neve, any questions that you have? Anything that or any comment that you have.
I don't think I have any more questions, but I'm thankful for all of the information that you guys have given me, because I learned a lot more about your religion, and I'm really grateful for that. So yeah, I don't think I have any more questions, but thank you.
Thank you, Neve, for being here, a part of this discussion. It means a lot because there's a lot of people that don't, just like you. Just this is the first time they're hearing or having questions answered for them. Is like, oh, that's what that means. And just to clarify something, Islam, the word Islam, the root word of it is the word Islam is submission. So submission is submitting to Allah, submitting to God and everything that God's, and God is that. If you notice, Esma, how do we greet each other? How do we greet each other? What's the word that we use? Or what do we
Yeah, I
say?
did. I Assalamu alaikum.
Right. So assalamu
So
alaikum. What does assalamu alaikum mean?
I made a mistake. Islam does not mean peace. I meant salam means peace, which is the way that we greet each other. So, well, the full thing is assalamu alaikum, but the main thing is salam.
Right. So as you can see,
Peace be upon you.
right. So and that's a prayer. So that's a prayer that we make to each other when we see each other. We make that greeting of, peace be unto you, and then we say it back when we say wa alaikum salam. It's a prayer that we say to each other that you are safe with me. You are safe with me, and that I'm wishing you peace when you leave me. I'm wishing you peace throughout the rest of your day. That you have a peaceful day. So that's a prayer that we make for one another every time we see each other, and it's a beautiful way to greet someone. Ivy, you have something that you wanted to say? Okay, so we have a special. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Ivy.
So, the last thing I want to say was like, I'm very happy that I met you guys because it made me realize like how powerful you guys really are and amazing as people. You guys really are, and I just can't wait to like one day be in your boots, Sister Asia. And yeah, it just made me realize like you guys are very, very powerful and great people.
And I think the same thing about you, Ivy. And I think Asma Hanan, when we had our last committee meeting, we was like, Ivy is on fire. Like she had ideas popping all over the place. And so we think the same thing of you. And when I first met Neve was in my youth entrepreneur program. She killed it. She won it. She won the youth entrepreneur competition. I mean, you girls are just a beautiful young ladies, and my Muslima girls, Hanan, I met you girls when y'all was little, and now y'all are young ladies, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're getting big on me. So, I'm so proud of each and every one of you, and that's why you were hand selected to be on the youth committee, because I felt that you represented the best of the girls in your age, your age group, and that each of you can look at yourself as role models because you're striving. I mean, right before we came on, Ivy told me that she got all A's, her last marking period. So you girls are just beautiful role models for young girls to look up to, and want to be around, and that's why I chose you to be on the youth committee, because I felt like, you girls are, while none of us are perfect, you're striving hard to be good young ladies, and to be good around the world. So I'm so proud of each and every one of you. Ivy, Neve, Hanan, and Esma. I'm so proud of each of you. And I feel like y'all are my babies. So Esma, you have something special for us, and Ivy's gonna participate. So Esma, what are you gonna do in our conclusion of our discussion on World Hijab Day? Why is my hijab important to me? Can you hear her? Okay, now go ahead, Esma. Were you saying something? We can't hear you. Try to see if you take your headphones off. See if it works. It might be that your headphones are not connecting. Go ahead and say something, Esma, so that way we can see if your headphones, if that's the issue.
So just a little mini hijab tutorial. You said you had like a scarf or a piece of cloth to wear with it.
Show them what you got, Ivy.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. She's showing you that she has her hijab ready for you.
You can hear me? Okay. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes. Esma, why don't you sign off and sign on? Sign off and then yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get ready for her. I think she's just having some technical difficulty with her laptop. Those laptops, I'm telling you, I think the next time she should get on her phone. Yeah, Ivy?
Should I like tie my hair up and then?
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, tie your hair up, and so that way it'll make it easier for you when you're putting your hijab on. And so I'm just going to read to you some of the comments that we have on here. We have people, we have 20 comments so far. People are saying some really nice things. One of them, somebody said, beautiful young lady. Okay, Esma, are you good? There you go. We can hear you.
You can hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, great. And it's not delayed. Okay. So yeah, so Ivy, good job. You put your hair in like a little bun or ponytail. So, okay, so I'm just gonna, so basically this is just a simple part. It's just putting it on top. And like, I can't go further than this because then my hair would show. But so you just have to put it on top. Yes.
There you go, Ivy.
Like that. And do you have a pin? Yeah, good job. Good job. Do you have a pin? Okay, great. So just put it, put it right in front, like right under your neck. So pin it like that. Yeah, so open it. Open the pin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, just put the pin right there.
And tie it to your comfort. You know, what's comfortable for you. You know, so when you pin it to where it's comfortable for you to, still be able to move and,
Mm-hmm. And a lot of wearing the hijab is like just how you like it. A lot of people wear it in different styles and different, ways. Yes, you got it?
Good job. Good job, Ivy.
Okay, great. So then after this, it's pretty much smooth sailing from here. You just take one side of it. So just take one, side, and then just wrap it around your neck. So make it so that it's not tight. So then once you wrap it around your neck, you just have both of them sitting right in front of you. Yeah, all the way around. So one side, all the way around. And then pull it like to the other side. Yes, good job. You did it. Okay. So now just adjust it. So yeah, so you got it. Now you can just adjust it. So pull the side right in front of you and like pull this up a little bit. Pull like what's right here. Up a little bit. Yes, you got it. Yes, you look so beautiful, Ivy. Okay, so yeah, so just adjust it so that it's to your liking. So just pull, like, make sure they're both in front of you. Like both of these like pieces of cloth are in front of you. And just
The size of like a teeny tiny bit.
Stop it.
Woo,
What did you say?
Ivy, look at you, girl. Yes. How does it feel?
Yes, you got it. You look so
Feels
pretty.
good.
You
Thank
look
you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
So that's the easiest way to put on a hijab. Like if you just run into the store, going to
You
school,
see, props
something
to
like
you.
that.
I did not get on.
Say that again, Asma.
Yeah, I did not get it on my first try. That was I was
Y'all don't want to know my first hijab story. Oh, I had about 10 pins in my hair, Ivy. I had 10 pins. I bought like the silky kind and I had no pins. I didn't know what I was doing. So if anyone is interested in knowing, like you girls, Neve or Ivy, myself even, how I learned is I went on YouTube. I went on YouTube. They have hijab tutorials everywhere, and there's all these different kind of styles and I mean beautiful ways to put on hijab. So if you ever want to know like a different style, if you like, so she has what material do they call that? Asma,
cotton.
cotton.
I mean,
So she has like
it's
a
called
right,
a shayla. That's just what it's called.
right. And so
You
I
can
have
put.
like a silk. I have like a silk hijab on. So obviously it's a
Yeah, like I said,
completely different
everyone wears
texture.
different ones.
Right. So that's a different texture. So there's different texture hijabs, there's different design hijabs to fit your style. But yeah, if you go on, anyone watching too that wants to learn a different way, even for our Muslim sisters, want to learn a different way to put on hijab, as long as it's covering your neck and your hair, it's your and it should cover if you have I'm trying to be as the top part of your body that should be covered too. If especially if you're an older woman going outside or going into the masjid, try to cover and wear like not tight clothes. Yeah. So that
And yeah, Ivy,
that
I just want to
constitutes.
mention, like, on my first time, I like needed someone to wrap it for me. Like, you did such a good job. Like, this was a great first time for
Yes,
you.
yes.
Thank you so
It looks.
much.
And so there's also a website, and one of our viewers just says she loves to watch Melanie from Hot Hijab, which is where I got my hijab from, and that she makes everything easy. So there's a website called www.hothijab.com. You can buy hijabs there, and they give you tutorials on how you can actually put on a hijab. So I want to thank you, girls. It's 2 minutes from an hour. We've been having a beautiful discussion. I would like to leave it with you guys having one last comment that you would like to make, whatever that is. So we'll start with Asma, then we'll go to Ivy, then Neve, and then last but not least, Hanan will have her last comment. So Asma, what's one final thing you want to leave today with the discussion that we've had so far, and to our viewers?
I just want to end by saying that I feel like Islam and like wearing the hijab, it's just such an open thing in general. Like, we have such a great community in Islam, and I think it shows that by like how Ivy like was so interested in it. And I think it's a beautiful thing how like Ivy and Neve, like, people are interested in Islam like just by seeing how we act. And that's something that's really like very important for and an obligation for us to act good so that people can want to be interested in Islam. So, and like I just want to give props to Ivy again for doing such a good job.
Yes, girl, you doing good. Cause yeah, my first hijab day wasn't that good. Okay, Ivy, thank you, Asma, for your final comments. What would you like to say, Ivy?
I just want to say thank you so much. Like putting this on just made me feel like so good. I feel so good now, and I'm so happy that I was able to have people to be able to teach me this. And I'm happy that you guys are in my life, and this made me feel very good. And I cannot wait to learn more about being a Muslim, and I cannot wait to finally become one and just learn a lot about it. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, girl. Okay. Nope. This is happy. This is happy. I'm a crybaby, so you're not gonna make me cry again. Oh, that was beautiful, and we're happy. I know I can speak for Asma and Hanan and Neve. We're happy that you're in our life too, Ivy. And Neve,
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this meeting and for giving me all of the information that I need to know, and I'm very grateful for it. Thank you
and this
so
is
much.
thank you, Neve. And this is good because I know some people may ask you questions like, oh, well, the owner is, the founder of Jessica Cares that you're on the youth committee on, or she's Muslim. Does that mean that you have to be a Muslim to be in the program, or what does that mean? And this is just beautiful for you to be able, I think I'm going to move my kid. There we go. It's just a beautiful way for you to just be able to share, like, even though I'm not Muslim, they have core values that complement mine. And this is why I want to support this organization. So it's just a beautiful combination. It's a beautiful connection that we have. And I'm happy, just like with Ivy, I'm so happy that we met you too, Neve.
Thank you. I'm so happy that I met you guys.
And last but not least, Hanan, all the way from Delaware.
I just want to say, this was really nice, and I thought I like whenever any non-Muslims like show interest in like Islam and all that stuff, and like it's so fun to teach people about my religion. So I really thought it was nice to for us to have this class, and I'm so happy, and it was like so heartwarming for Ivy to want to learn, and you too, Neve. But yeah.
Thank you, girls. Thank you for, being a part of making Jessica Cares. Okay, Asma, one last comment.
Yeah, I just wanted to apologize for my terrible connection. I know that I had to hop in and out, and I know that it was really bad. But next time we do this, I'll definitely join from my phone.
You may want to try your phone. That's what we're all on. We're all on our phone, and it just seems like StreamYard works better on a phone. So that might be the solution. Inshallah, God willing, next time we have you're on the talk show. So thank you, girls, so much for joining me this evening. This is the first of 2021. This is the first ever Jessica Cares Conversations with Asia that we're having a topic of discussion on hijab. And I'm just so happy that it's with my babies, Asma, Hanan, Neve, and Ivy. And I understand exactly how you feel, Ivy. I felt the same way when I put on hijab for the first time. It was a different kind of I feel beautiful. It's a different kind of I feel good. So I'm happy that you got that same feeling. So thank you, girls, again for joining me, and for the viewers and for those Muslim and non-Muslim. This was just a discussion for us to gain clarity on the religion of Islam. If there were questions, hopefully it may have been coinciding with what Ivy and Neve asked. And this was just our way of wanting to share with the world why World Hijab Day is so important to us. Although it's just one day, wearing our hijab has significance throughout the year and through our life. And so thank you everyone for tuning in, and stay tuned for next month, another episode of Conversations with Asia. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your night. Assalamu alaikum.